This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, it is primary night in America. And there are a lot of big primary races taking place in New York, in Maryland, in Utah, and also runoffs in South Carolina. And let's get to some of the biggies that have already come in. So far, 2 candidates backed by New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani have won. He has backed 3 big ones that really could change the course of the Democratic Party. So far, 2 of them have won, and we are waiting on the 3rd. Now, first off, let's get to one of them, and that is Claire Valdez. She won. She is a Democratic Socialist and a radical one in New York 7, that district, which is parts of Brooklyn and parts of Queens. It is the retiring Nydia Velázquez seat. And she beat Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, who was running. Now, Valdez, backed by Elizabeth Warren, again, as I mentioned, backed by Zohran Mamdani, and also backed by Bernie Sanders. She really has come out swinging. Just to give you an idea of this woman, and remember, it is a very Democratic district, so it looks like she is obviously going to be the next member of Congress, barring anything else, as we head into the general election. So Claire Valdez, who won pretty handily, by the way, the polls closed at 9 p.m. Eastern, so their race was called about 20 minutes afterwards. She has called for an abolishment of ICE, an abolishment of the NYPD, says that Israel is committing genocide left and right. Also, even at one point, called for the abolishment of the Pentagon, of military aid. You can't make it up. And then she also has said that everybody should not be deported, including those who've committed murder. So welcome to your new member of Congress, Claire Valdez. Boy, is the Democratic Party and America in trouble. That is New York District number 7. And then we have in New York District number 10. This one was just called a little bit ago. And this is a Dan Goldman. He was the incumbent congressman, Democrat, running against Brad Lander. Now, Brad is a former councilman, quite well known in New York, also former city comptroller. He was endorsed, as I mentioned, by Zohran Mamdani, and went after Israel big time. Like 90% of his platform was I hate Israel and I hate ICE. And he just won in his primary. So that is another disturbing sign that you've got 2 very radical candidates who have won that race. Now let's go to this particular one, because Zohran Mamdani came out and he was gleeful that his friend, Brad Lander, won the race. Here he is.
I've known Brad for some time, first as a colleague, as a friend, and over the course of that race and beyond, as a partner in this work. And I knew then what we all know now, and what many of you all have known for years. Brad brings a kindness to this work. He brings a sincerity to this work. He brings a vision of politics that is more than what we've seen for so long. And when we think about what our country needs, as Meg said, we need an understanding of what Mr. Rogers would talk about all those decades ago. We need a good neighbor. We need someone who will always have our back. And I'm so proud to stand here to describe a friend of mine in the language I've used with hope, and now simply to say it as fact. Please join me in introducing your next Congress member, Brad Lander.
And And then Brad Lander came out, and almost right away, guess what he did? He started bashing ICE.
And we are standing up to ICE in our neighborhoods and in our immigration courts. I will be back at 26 Federal Plaza tomorrow morning.
That's where ICE is based. And here is Dan Goldman, who he defeated. Listen to this.
Red Hook and Borough Park. I really have had the privilege, and it is a privilege, to serve these communities that are passionate, diverse, and engaged as any communities in all of America. And every day I try to approach this job with integrity, with seriousness and courage to stand up for what is right, even when it was not politically expedient. I want to take this moment first to thank my family, my wife, Corinne. My three children are up here, Everly, Aiden over there, and Alessia.
And that is Dan Goldman, who, by the way, earlier, also this week, took some big heat at a Jewish coffee shop in Park Slope, Brooklyn. He bought a cup of coffee. He was there with his daughter. Obviously, sounds like an innocent attempt. And guess what happened? The coffee shop went on afterwards and said, why did you order genocide juice, essentially, from us? They trashed him because of his support for Israel. He is Jewish, too. And so guess what? Then he came out and said, you know what? I was trying to do a nice thing and go into the coffee shop. I can't believe this happened. And now that coffee shop apparently owes $800,000 in back taxes, the owner of the coffee shop, according to Fox News. And now that coffee shop is being investigated by the Department of Justice for violation of civil rights. So that's a great thing. I'm glad it's being investigated. We are really seeing a new low to all of these different anti-Semitic candidates that are coming left and right. And now, so far, there are two already tonight, as we are seeing Brad Lander, who's a former DSA but very close ally of Zohran Mamdani. And then we have the other one, who is a huge supporter, also very much of Zohran Mamdani. And she is Claire Valdez. That's New York 7. So she's one. And we're just waiting right now on one of the others. And it looks like at this point, the third one, Chevalier, is ahead. So what a night this could be for Zohran Mamdani, and what a sad night that means it is for New York and for America and for the Democratic Party. What are your thoughts tonight as we are hearing all of this? 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. And you are listening to the Rita Cosby Show. This is a stunning turn so far, what we're seeing for the Democratic Party in New York. And again, it is also a message, clearly, of what's happening to the Democratic Party across this country. You look at the case of Dan Goldman, who we just heard from. That was sort of his concession speech, if you will. But Dan Goldman was somebody who pushed for Trump's impeachment. He's definitely hardcore left if you look at a lot of people, but he's not hardcore left enough because I guess he doesn't bash Israel enough. And one of the most disturbing things that I saw was when a lot of people were leaving the polls. And, you know, you kind of get a pulse of the people when they're leaving these polls. And one of the things that I saw they were saying was, oh, yeah, I picked the candidate that supports Gaza. I picked the candidate that doesn't think we should be giving military aid to Israel. We're really seeing a very troubling anti-Semitic strain in the Democratic Party and in America. And that's why these messages tonight are very, very concerning. By the way, Michael Lasher winning the Democratic primary. That's for the race for the 12th congressional district. That was a very, very packed field. That had a lot of different people in that particular race. Alex Boras was in that race. He was running sort of a control AI aspect to it. George Conway, who, of course, was Kellyanne Conway's ex-husband, one of the biggest nemesises, I guess, of President Trump. Jack Schlossberg, who is the grandson of course, JFK. So there were a number of big names that were in that race. And now Michael Lasher, who worked actually for Jerry Nadler, that's the Nadler seat, also knows Bloomberg and a number of others. He has now just won that race. And that is definitely a big one. That was a very, very contested race. We're still trying to see what's going to happen in the race with Daria-Liza Chevalier, and she is against Adriano Espaillat. Adriano Espaillat, a longtime Democrat, a leader in Congress. He's head of the Hispanic Caucus, very well regarded Dominican Republic, came to the country, was an illegal immigrant at the age of 9 and became an American citizen. And Chevalier, who's running against him, has been taking it to him every twist and turn, saying that he's not, I guess, crazy enough. That's the best way to describe it. Not crazy enough. And if you haven't heard crazy, remember the guy who was pulling the alarm? Jamal Bowman. I call him the fake alarm puller, remember? Because he was trying to delay the vote. He said he didn't do it. And then he was caught on videotape doing it. And he goes, oh, I guess I did do it. Remember when he dismantled the congressional vote when the fire alarm went off in Congress? And then he got voted out because at that time he wasn't a supporter of Israel. He got voted out by, remember, George Latimer beat him in Westchester in New York. Well, now it turns out he was out there at the big Mamdani rally with all of these Democratic socialists. And what he said at that particular rally was, guess what? We're going to soon see, I would say, most of the progressives in Congress are going to be shouting Free Palestine on Capitol Hill. Wow. If that happens, that will be a sad day in the nation's capital. But that is what these people want. Israel was almost 90% of their platform with all of these people. Everything was bash Israel. I hate Israel. We shouldn't give money to Israel. We shouldn't have any products. It's the boycott, divest, remember, and sanction the BDS movement. I mean, that is so troubling. And this is where this Democratic Party is heading. It is anti-Semitic, some of these DSA members. You can certainly say that with some of the comments we heard from Lander, especially anti-ICE. You just heard there, he said, I'm going to go back to 26 Federal Plaza. That's where he got arrested when he was outside of immigration court not that long ago. So I guess he's going to go back and try to create a scene tomorrow, too, as well, because that's his platform. His platform is protest, and his platform is anti-ICE. And then you have this other woman that I mentioned who also won tonight very quickly, Claire Valdez. That was in New York 7. Her race was called within minutes, too. That wasn't expected to be as close, but to be as, quickly called, I should say. That was a very quick call, too, as well. Brad Lander won within minutes. I think that was called at 9:12, the other one 9:25. But that particular race, you've got probably one of the most extreme candidates ever to be picked for the Democratic Party. And again, this is a very Democratic district. That's one is parts of Brooklyn, parts of Queens. She was accusing her progressive opponent of not bashing Israel earlier. You can't make it up. This is where this party's going. And not only does the Democratic Party need to wake up tonight with what's happening here, I know some very common sense Democrats that are very upset tonight by what they're seeing. And there may be a sweep by Mamdani candidates. We'll see. But right now, Chevalier is beating Adriano Espaillat. It has not been called. It's still too close to call. He could still pull it out, but you never know. But right now, it looks like a good night for Zohran Mamdani, a good night for Democratic Socialists, and a bad night for New York and a bad night for America. I can't wait to get your take when we come back, guys. 1-800-848-9222. And you're listening to The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
It's the Rita Cosby Show.
And as we are calling other races here tonight on the Rita Cosby Show, just to give you a little update from South Carolina. By the way, I'm a Gamecock. I love the University of South Carolina. South Carolina, they had a big runoff tonight. This was with the Republican governor's race. It was State Attorney General Alan Wilson, who was going up against Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette. Both of them endorsed by President Trump in this runoff, and Alan Wilson handily won the runoff. So he becomes the candidate for the GOP for governor there in the state of South Carolina. He won by about 2-1 so far with the votes coming in. So a very impressive win from Alan Wilson, the state attorney general, the son of Joe Wilson, congressman, longtime there from South Carolina. Both he and his challenger were both endorsed by President Trump, who said you can't go wrong with either one. And now Alan Wilson advances there in the governor's race there in South Carolina. Also, other news in New York. Richie Torres, longtime Democrat in Congress, he is keeping his position there. He won his primary. He will advance. And then in the New York State Comptroller, this was the statewide race there for, there was a Democratic Comptroller race. Tom DiNapoli, who's done a great job. We've had Tom on the show. Tom was up against a couple different progressives in the race. He handily won. So Tom DiNapoli continues there and will go up against a Republican challenger there for comptroller, but handily wins the Democratic race. First time sort of even to have a challenge, but it turns out not a challenge at all. And we're waiting right now to see what happens in District 13 in New York. That is Daria Liza Avila Chevalier going up against Adriano Espaillat. Adriano Espaillat, who was endorsed by Governor Hochul. Chevalier, a Democrat, Socialist of America, who is endorsed by Zohran Mamdani. The race still too close to call. And right now, Chevalier is leading by 1 or 2 percentage points. But again, too close to call. What a night it has been. Boy, oh boy. Let's go to Mike on line 5 there in New Jersey. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, so the thing is like this. The problem is not the politicians. The problem is the society that elects them. Zohran Mamdani, when he gets up there and he says these crazy things about AIPAC, that they're monsters, everyone's like shocked. Like, how could he say that? He's been saying this stuff the whole time, and they voted for him. They elected him. All these crazy Democratic socialists, whatever that they're saying, people are buying it.
No, that's a great point. You're right. They are buying it. They bought it with Zohran Mamdani. And you're right, Mike. His endorsement has obviously made all the difference so far tonight. And that's trouble for America.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
I wrote a little song to remind you, Choice Hotels get you more of the experiences you value. The Cambria Hotel's got it all. A rooftop bar, have a ball. Cocktails up here feel just right. Is Cambria amazing? All right. Bring a date, your team, or even your mom. Book direct at choicehotels.com. See you on the roof.
Rita Cosby is on. Rita Cosby Show presents Back to Blue.
And this Back the Blue segment coming from Kokomo, Indiana. Wasn't there a song? Then Kokomo, right? I think, right? All right. But anyway, it's different. Kokomo, Indiana. And this is a 6-year-old boy is recovering after being found by a police in a retention pond. Officers received a report that the young boy who had autism went missing. And once they got on the scene, they did an extensive area search, and then they looked in a retention pond. That's where they found him. Officers then immediately made their way into the water and rescued the child. He was taken to the shoreline, obviously given life-saving measures, and then taken to a local hospital for further treatment. Officers say he is expected to make a full recovery. And thank goodness they located him very quickly after doing a big, extensive search, which also required people in the neighborhood, too, helping out. So it was great work with neighbors and also law enforcement. And now let's go. This is Jamal Bowman, who was at this Democratic Socialist of America rally. And take a listen, because all he could do was bash AIPAC, which is the Jewish lobby. Take a listen.
To win! Yeah! Make some noise for Daria Lisa! Yeah! Make some noise for Brad Lander! Yeah! Make some noise for Claire Valdez! Yeah! And let me hear you say, AIPAC! Okay, I'm not going to curse anymore. No more cursing.
Breaking news.
And wow, this is a stunning twist. The race had not been called yet by none of the networks, but just a moment ago, Congressman Adriano Espaillat, who has been a longtime member of Congress, who has been head of the Hispanic caucus, very well respected, has just conceded to Daria Liza Avila Chevalier in the primary. She is a diehard Democratic Socialist. And I'm sad to say, guys, that means that Zohran Mamdani, he endorsed 3 candidates and has a 100% track record tonight. He has won with all of these extreme radical candidates. Suddenly, Congressman Adriano Espaillat, reading, I guess, the tea leaves, even before the networks had even called it, and came out and delivered a concession speech saying he is conceding to the Democratic Socialist, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, in that primary race, and also saying tonight is not our night. It is a night, though, however, for Democratic Socialists in America, and this is a very troubling trend, guys, because now they have elected 3 very radical individuals that have won their primaries, all in very safe and secure seats for Democrats. And it means that there will be 3 probably radical Congress members going to New York, from New York to Congress. And they are Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, who you just heard, who Adriano Espaillat just conceded to. That is in New York 13. Let me just give you a little bit about her background. She wants to abolish ICE. She wants to abolish prisons. She has said that non-citizens should vote. Isn't that lovely? And she's also said that deportations, including those of murderers and other criminals, are wrong. So she wants to keep every single one of them in this country. This is bad news for America. And then you have Claire Valdez, who won pretty soon after the polls closed tonight in New York. That's New York 7. That's parts of Brooklyn's and Queens. She has been saying that genocide by Israel is one of her biggest issues. So if you didn't like those protests on college campuses, they're going to be turbocharged now under this individual. She also says that there should be no military aid to Israel and a number of other things. And then there's Brad Lander, who is New York 10. He is a big supporter of Zohran Mamdani. In fact, early on in his mayor's race, when it looked like he was in the race, by the way, also in the Democratic primary, when it looked like he was not going to win, he said to everybody, you know what, as your number 2 choice after me, I suggest you go for Zohran Mamdani. So that was a very, very big deal. And I want to play in about a moment or so. We're going to have a little bit of the concession speech by Adriano Espaillat. That's going to be coming up because he really took everybody by surprise when he suddenly gave a concession speech. And again, that was in the race against Daria Liza Avila Chevalier. She's a fairly new person, also to politics, and considered probably one of the most radical individuals that you will ever see going to the U.S. Congress. Again, it's not a done deal, but it is a very, very blue district, a very secure blue district. So it'd be shocking if it doesn't mean that she's going to be going to Congress. And this woman is big time trouble. If you look at her policies, they are anti-public safety, anti-Israel, anti-law enforcement, anti-ICE, unabashed in her criticism of ICE, unabashed in her criticism of police. This is a very, very troubling trend. And what's really scary is Espaillat even endorsed Mamdani. But yet, here he is conceding just a moment ago.
For the last 30 years, this community has given me the privilege to represent it. Por los últimos 30 años, esta comunidad me ha dado el privilegio de representarlo. We have worked together. Hemos trabajado juntos para lograr muchas cosas. We have worked together to accomplish many things. And together, our families move forward in this neighborhood. Tonight wasn't our night. Hoy el voto no favoreció. Okay. But I love you anyway. And I want to thank those who worked tirelessly on behalf of this campaign and those that worked night and day to move our efforts forward. Quiero darle las gracias a todos los que trabajaron fuertemente, todos, cada uno de ustedes que trabajaron fuerte para esta campaña. When I came to this nation as a young immigrant boy, I never could have imagined that I would be a member of Congress. That is the privilege of my life. The privilege of my life to serve you, the community. And I will continue to love and serve this community in the best way that I can. Yo seguiré sirviendo esta comunidad de la mejor manera posible. Y le doy las gracias a todos ustedes por su amistad de muchos años, por su apoyo.
Okay.
And you've been listening to New York One. I can translate at the end there. He said, I want to thank everybody for their friendship, for their support. Porque yo puedo hablar español. So I was able to translate that there for you. But he said, I want to thank all my supporters. And he also, as you heard in English and Spanish, said he will continue to support New York. But a stunning moment tonight, as you just heard live here on the Rita Cosby Show, Congressman Adriano Espaillat, who has been a longtime member of Congress. A lot of people thought that he may pull it out, that there was a good chance of all of the Zohran Mamdani endorsements tonight, and there were sort of three big ones, that this was the one less likely that Mamdani would win, because more likely Adriano Espaillat, who is also a longtime member of the Hispanic caucus. In fact, the leader of the Hispanic caucus, he's Dominican. He came from the Dominican Republic at age 9 as an illegal immigrant, became an American citizen. He was the first member of Congress who came as an illegal immigrant to this country. Also first Dominican to be elected to Congress. So a real groundbreaker. And tonight, he was reading the tea leaves. It hadn't even been called, by the way, on any of the networks yet. And yet he took it upon himself, obviously seeing the numbers, because they probably had the inside track more than anything that's even been made public. Chevalier, the Democratic Socialist, very radical Democratic Socialist, It looked like she was clearly in the lead, but not all the votes had been counted. But clearly it was enough. And Adriano Espaillat said, I will go out and concede. And you just heard him do it. This is a dramatic night. And the reason it is this is a turning point and a sad one, I believe, in Democratic politics. You guys know me. I have covered politics for decades. And I remember when I was in Washington, you may not agree with both sides of the issue or even one side or either side, but you still sort of got along. And there was still this sort of common sense and decency. And over the last few years, it has really been a take no prisoners approach, especially from these members of the Democratic Socialist of America. They are extreme. They are anti-Israel. They're anti-Semitic. They're anti-police. And the list goes on. And all of these things are deeply troubling, not just to common sense Democrats, but this could be a sign of a cancer that is spreading across this country. And that's why this is absolutely troubling. I want to play, this is cut 12, and this is Professor Alan Dershowitz. We spoke with him earlier on Katz and Cosby, and we were talking about this trend going on around the country. And he repeated this monsters quote that's been getting a lot of play from Zohran Mamdani. That's what he was calling AIPAC, which is the big Jewish lobbying group in this country, because, of course, Zohran Mamdani hates everything Jewish. So listen to what Professor Alan Dershowitz said earlier today about this very troubling trend of anti-Semitism in the Democratic Socialist Party. And guess what? 3 of their members, 2 official and 1 sort of unofficial, has won tonight. This is cut number 12. What do you make of this troubling trend with the Democratic Socialists of America? Some of the rhetoric that we've heard, especially in the last few days, it's all anti-Israel.
Well, it's worse. It's Nazi rhetoric that finds its origin back in the Dreyfus trial when they portrayed supporters of Dreyfus and Jews as monsters. Monster is a term that Goebbels used, that anti-Semites have used for 150 years, and Mamdani knows that. And when you call people monsters, by the way, you're calling everybody on the show a monster. I'm a monster. You're a monster. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Mamdani monster. All you have to do is be a supporter of Israel, a supporter of AIPAC. I'm a proud supporter of AIPAC. I've spoken at their events. I'll continue to speak at their events. I'll continue to contribute to them. And I'm not a monster. I'm a patriotic, loyal American who strongly believes that support for Israel is in America's best interest. So we have to fight back against interest. We have to put this Poetica coffee shop out of business, just the way I put the pierogi guy out of business on Martha's Vineyard. Remember a year ago, this pierogi guy, the guy who was selling good pierogies, they were pretty terrible, wouldn't sell me because I'm a Zionist. So I protested and threatened a lawsuit, and he's now out of business, essentially. He is not opening a stand at the farmer's market anymore, and we have to do the same thing with Poetica, and ultimately we have to do the same thing with Mamdani.
Guess what? Mamdani just got emboldened tonight. He just got 3 for 3. 3 of the most radical members of the Democratic Party have just won their primaries in very safe Democratic districts. In other words, there will be 3 radicals that are going to be joining Congress, most likely. I'd say a 1% chance they will not be. 1-800-848-9222. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Mike in Virginia on line 1. Go ahead, Mike. Your thoughts tonight. Boy, what an interesting night.
Unbelievable, Rita. And, you know, I live in South Carolina. I'm in Virginia now. I went up to the old hood, Long Island, last week. Yeah. So I'll tell you, you know, this is... Wait
a minute. So wait. Did you leave? Did you leave South Carolina? What happened, Mike? My beloved South Carolina? What happened?
No, I went up to Strong Island, Long Island. That's my old hood. I paid my respects to Dad on Father's Day and saw see some old friends, good for the soul, and cousins, and you know. So I'm in Virginia now, and
what do you think of this trend? This is scary, Mike. By the way, you probably saw in South Carolina, Alan Wilson won the governors that was in the primary. That was a biggie. He was against, of course, the lieutenant governor, but he handily won that race. But now he goes into the general. But what do you make of what's been going on with this Mamdani backing? He has a 3 for 3, and some of them were big time. Like the Adriano Espaillat was sort of a fixture in Democratic politics, beloved, respected, Hispanic. But yet suddenly Mamdani said, no, we need somebody who's who's crazier. And he found a real crazy one. And now that crazy one is won tonight.
Mamdani, and all his disciples and all his, comrades, it's outrageous. It's outrageous, the language. Far left is traveling even further left, and the psychos that are out there. And it's outrageous, anti-Semitic rhetoric, and everything else that goes along with it. And Mamdani, isn't he something? He's just flashing his pearly whites, just like the vice president used to, if she was the czar of the border, right? Flash your pearly whites and get. Hey, Mamdani, you're a psycho. And what kind of mindset is anyone in that votes for him? And now he's spreading his mantra. He's spreading his mantra to others that help his cause.
Yeah, and you know what they're doing, Mike? You hit a great point, because it's sort of my way or the highway. And what's really troubling, I think, about this Daria-Liza Avilar-Chevalier, who now has officially beaten Democrat Congressman Adriano Espaillat, that this was a guy who voted for Mamdani. He traditionally, is a little more traditional by far than a Mamdani, and yet he was selling his soul to vote for Mamdani when I think a lot of people obviously were sick to their stomach about him, but they were afraid to go up against him. So he votes for him. He supports Mamdani, does all that other stuff, and Mamdani turns around and says, you're not anti-Jewish enough. You're not anti-police enough. You're not anti-this enough. And he picks this newcomer, this Daria-Liza Chevalier, who's a newcomer to politics, and she has just beaten him 49% to 46%. So it's really troubling that even if you think, okay, I'm going to give in to him, if they want somebody crazier, they'll go for crazy. And these people are really crazy. Like when I saw some of the things that they believe in, it's downright dangerous, downright frightening. And what I'm concerned about is this is a trend. It's like a cancer that may be hard to stop spreading. This may be the beginning of an even bigger spread of a cancer across this country. 1-800-848-9222. And everybody, we will continue your calls when we come back here on The Rita Cosby Show.
The Rita Cosby Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
This is the Rita Cosby Show.
And it's been a good night for radical left candidates backed by New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani. And it's been a very bad night for America, because it means the party is moving further and further extreme, further and further to the left. And it also means that those people who are afraid not to back Mamdani, remember in the mayor's race, and then they all most of them folded like cheap suits eventually. They're going to be folding even cheaper to these guys, because they're seeing a seismic shift in New York, especially this race with Daria-Liza Chevalier. That's New York 13 district. She beats a 10-year incumbent in really what is a seismic victory. The fact that he has already conceded, and it's a perfect record, sadly, for Zohran Mamdani tonight. Let's go, if we can. Let's go to Sandra real quick. Line 4. Go ahead, Sandra, your thoughts.
Oh, good evening, Rita. I just wanted to share a thought that I had. I shared it with my sister, and she agreed with me.
And what is that?
Okay. I know it's important to talk about how Israel is hated, how the Jewish people are hated, but I'm beginning to hear it so much that I'm beginning to think it could work against the Jewish people. I'll tell you why. The self-fulfilling prophecy. If you hear enough of something, and let's say you don't know anything about it, and suddenly you hear, oh, I hate the Jews, they're going to start to hate us too, and they don't even know why they're hating us.
You know, that's an interesting point, Sandra, and I think that's what's happening to a lot of young people. They're around these anti-Semitic people, and they're thinking that that's the right thing to do. It's disgusting, and it's horrible.
Thanks for listening to The Rita Cosby Show. You can hear The Rita Cosby Show weeknights at 10 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?